What's going on? Welcome back. We took a little bit of hiatus from the channel. Again, if you guys forgot, I'm G. That's Duran.
What's up, guys?
Welcome back to our channel. Welcome back to our show. Today's topic will be the NFL playoff picture as it is today. So if the playoffs were to start tomorrow night, you know, where would they, who would play who gets to buy, et cetera, et cetera. You guys get the picture. So started off. You want to go through the seeds? Number one, number two.
Yeah, you can go through the seeds. Let's hear them.
All right. So on the AFC side, the number one seed getting the first round bye is the Pittsburgh Steelers, standing in at 10-0.
Yep.
Number two is the Kansas City Chiefs, the returning Super Bowl champions at 10-1. Number three seed, you got the Tennessee Titans with that monster running back Derrick Henry at 8-3. Number four, you got the Buffalo Bills at 8-3. Number five is the Cleveland Brownies at 8-3.
Yep.
6 is Miami Dolphins at 7-4, and number 7 is the Indianapolis Colts at 7-4.
Nice. I see some teams in there. I see some teams in there that I don't know if they're going to make it to the end here, winding down the last, 5-6 weeks. But, this is what it looks like right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing a couple. I'm saying just two teams. I like the other teams that are in here, but I'm saying two teams that I would, go and take out of there.
Well, but, right now, I hope the Browns don't make it. I hope the Ravens end up sneaking into that spot. The Ravens are actually starting RG3 this week. So I want them to jump up in that division, take some spots. Who else? We'll see if – I don't think Miami's that big of a contender, so we'll see if they hang on to that spot there.
Yeah, I think Miami is a year ahead where they need to be right now. I mean, I would like to see them make the playoffs because I like Brian Flores. I like the way he created that defense. Finally, disciple of Belichick, makes it really strong. We all know what happened to Matt Patricia, and other coaches that fell underneath him. But let's see here. Indianapolis, I mean, I don't know if I can trust Phillip Rivers. I mean, he did light it up pretty well. First time against the Titans. Second time he did okay, but man, that arm just looks dead every single year. Browns, I don't see the Browns making it. I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't think Baker can handle the spotlight. I mean, we saw with that wide open slant to Higgins, just sailed it.
They might make it if the Ravens don't get back on track here and get some of these COVID things cleared up. So let's take a look at this first matchup. Browns versus Bills.
Browns versus Bills. I would take the Bills all day. That defense will just stack that box against, the heavy running game that they got and force Baker to, play with his arm. And I think their defensive backs are strong enough to do so.
Yeah.
So I think the defense wins it. And, I mean, the Bills offense, I don't know. I think they need a little bit more help at receiving. Because I think Brown is still out, if I'm correct. I think it's a hamstring for him. Okay. Yeah, but
I'd take I'd take the Bills here too. And both of these teams, I kind of like how they stack up and match up against each other, but I just have no faith in the Browns right now. With their long history, they got to kind of prove it for me before I give them my pitch. But Josh Allen, I think this is his best year so far. He's leading the team in rushing touchdowns too. So, he always gets it done with his legs. Of course, the MVP probably of their team might be Stephon Diggs, who just continues to shine and do his thing every week. I know he only has 4 touchdowns this year, but, he's pretty much exactly what they needed. And like you said, they need at least one more guy to step up and kind of help them out there. The running backs are pretty inconsistent this year. John Brown is always hurt, and who's going to be that next weapon to kind of take a little bit of the attention off Diggs, let Josh Allen breathe a little bit, and lead him to a victory or two.
Yeah, we saw what Joey Bosa can do against against that line. I mean, he's got some, was it 3 sacks and a fumble recovery? The guy was a monster out there against the Bills. But yeah, I'm thinking the Bills would take this 28-13.
Nice.
Yeah,
That that's
that's my prediction.
a solid win for them. I do like the
Yeah.
Bills defense, so I could see them holding them to 13 points or something like that. I did think their defense was going to be a little bit better this year. I mean, last year
Yeah.
they were pretty much top 4 in the NFL, and this year they've taken a step back a little bit, but they're still top 10 in takeaways with 17. But they're in the bottom of the league in rushing yards allowed, and this is probably where the Browns might be able to take advantage of that. We know the strength of them are those two bell cow running backs, pretty much, Chubb and Hunt. Both of them over 700 yards this year. Kareem Hunt does a little bit more in the receiving game, but they're the ultimate 1-2 punch. And if there's a weakness for these Bills, that might be it to make this game competitive.
Yeah. All right, let's go up to the next game. So it would
Mm-hmm.
be the Miami Dolphins versus the Tennessee Titans. Um, Here, I'd like to see an upset, but I don't know if Miami's defense can stop, Derrick Henry in that run game. Yeah, they can stack them, but I don't know if they have the linebackers to help out with that.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be an ugly win for the Titans, but I think they get it done. I'm projecting a score of like 17-10 or 17-13, coming down to the last drive or some sort. Yeah, because I think, let's see, the receivers. I mean, Corey Davis is finally looking somewhat like a
Mm-hmm.
top, receiver. But then you got AJ Brown, who's just nasty.
Yep.
But I think he can be erased by Hayward or Byron Jones of that nature. Uh yeah, I'm just gonna go with the Titans on this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Titans all day. I just like the way they play. They're built for these late cold games and things like that. Imagine the Dolphins going up there and having to play in Tennessee. I don't think it'd turn out too pretty for them. So I'd take them. We know Derrick Henry, he continues to impress each year. And I was a little bit of a doubter of him when he came into this year. I kind of thought last year might have been a little bit of a fluke, but he's definitely proven me wrong. Um, yeah, the Titans they have the weapons. I know they lost Taylor Lewan recently, but they're just going to keep pounding that ball and they don't care what anyone has to say. As for the Dolphins, that secondary definitely is their strong point, but the weakness is stopping the run, and Henry could probably feast on this one. Um, yeah, Byron Jones, I could see that being uh, a nice little matchup for AJ Brown, Corey Davis, also Jonnu Smith, but especially with if Fitzpatrick is still starting, they just give away too many turnovers. Miles Gaskin isn't there. I to me, I'd want to see Tua running the spread offense and doing his thing, but Tennessee will take this one. I have no doubts.
Yeah, same here. All right, on to the next one. We got versus the Chiefs. I don't see an upset here, not at all. I mean, that Chiefs offense, we saw what they did to the Buccaneers. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think they have a stronger defense than the Colts. So I mean, I'm definitely going to go with the Chiefs right here. You can't. I mean, as much as I want to see Mahomes, get. I don't want to see him get hurt, but I want to see him take one clean hit because man, that guy's elusive as hell. Credit when credit's due, but I want to see him take a hit. But yeah, man, I'm definitely going to go with the Chiefs all day. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be somewhere nasty, like 35-14.
I could see. I don't see how there's any way you can take the Colts in this one. I mean, Rivers in that offense, they can't keep up. I mean, of course, the Chiefs are number one this year in passing yardage and touchdowns. Tyreek Hill could burn pretty much any corner on this team. And they got that 1-2 punch at the running back position with Clyde and now Le'Veon Bell. So their offense is, I think they're going to hit that second phase of the season. And to me, it seems like Le'Veon Bell is just getting comfortable back there. So if they could get this offense with even more points, especially on the ground. I just think they're going to be unstoppable. And as long as their defense doesn't play horrible, they're going to be in every game from here on out. So Chiefs, I'm thinking they might even steal back the Steelers' first seed that we're going to talk about next. But yeah, there's no way the Colts can keep up with that. One matchup that will be pretty nice to watch though is Darius Leonard does a lot over the middle of the field, and he's great in coverage. So Kelsey, Darius Leonard mixing it up a little bit. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, that'd be a really nice one. I don't know what's going on with Bobby Okereke, but he's also really good in coverage as well. The rookie from Stanford. So I maybe second year. No, he's a rookie, I think.
Also, just pass rush wise, the Colts don't really got anyone on the pass rush. I know they're coming back, but Buckner and Otcher are both on the COVID list as of right now, but they still don't really have anyone bringing the pressure against these guys. And, you know, like I said, their offense just isn't enough. The running game isn't what we thought it would be at the beginning of the season. Naheem Hines leads the team in catches, which you just can't do that when you face the Chiefs. So Chiefs all day in this one. Easy decision.
Yes, sir.
All right. You just want to go over the Steelers real quick, break them down. I know that they don't have a matchup. They'd get the bye initially this week, but I just want to talk about them a little bit because they're an undefeated team, and to me, they just don't seem like an undefeated team at the moment. Normally, when we look back on these undefeated teams going, especially into Week 10, they're just super dominant, great offenses, and that's just not how this team's set up right now. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he said they don't look like an undefeated team. Go ahead.
Yeah, they just don't look like an undefeated team right now. The offense, you know, they're at the bottom of the league in rushing yardage. The pass game isn't top 10, and that's just unusual for an undefeated team. So the defense is where it's at with these guys.
That defense is always stout in Pittsburgh. That's one thing you can always count on. That defense is always going to be stout.
Yep. And they have the most takeaways in the NFL. So to me, when you just kind of add up the most turnovers, which to me are kind of hard to predict, they're not a top 10 offense. It might be a little bit of luck right now that they're undefeated. So that's why I can kind of see Kansas City maybe staying at one loss, and maybe the Steelers racking up 2 losses before the season's over. But I mean, they got the defense to do it. Defense wins championships, and guys like TJ Watt, Vince Williams both make a ton of plays behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, they're still a top 5 team in my book, but I don't know if they're quite number 1.
Yeah, I mean, my guy Cam Hayward's still doing it. Bud Dupree's stepping up, kind of in the situations where he's needed. Like you said, TJ Watt.
Yep.
He's just a beast.
Imagine if Bush didn't get hurt.
Beast. Right? Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
It'd be more crazier. But, yeah, like you said, that offense doesn't really wow me. Claypool, he comes in spurts. Deontay Johnson is definitely the guy who I thought he was going to be coming at Toledo. You have my receipt on that one. Yeah, other than that, man, I can't trust Big Ben. I like, his heart and everything, but I can't really trust that guy.
I feel you.
He limps in with some bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, he playing injured and whatnot. I just think his body's just too beaten up, too old for that. He's been like that for a while now. I just think that he's done. This is going to be his last year.
All right. You want to move on to the NFC?
Yeah, let's move on to the NFC. So it looks like we'll go from the top to the bottom. The number 1 seed standing at 9-2 is the New Orleans Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 seed is the 8-3 Seattle Seahawks. Number 3 is the Green Bay Packers at 8-3. Number 4 is the New York Football Giants at 4-7. The number 5 seed is the Los Angeles Rams at 7-4. The number 6 seed is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 7-5, and the number 7 seed is the Arizona Cardinals at 6-5. There's 3 NFC West teams in there. There's the Giants limping in with that 7-4. I don't think they're going to take it. I think it's going to be either the Eagles or the Washington football team that's going to end up taking this, that 4 seed, But it was crazy. I mean, now looking back at the records and everything, that I thought that the NFC was going to outduel the AFC, but they're kind of standing neck and neck right now, which I like to see kind of balance, on both sides of the conferences, which is really nice to see. That number 1 seed, I don't know if the Saints can hang on to that.
Yep, especially the Breeze out.
Yeah.
I hate what they're doing at quarterback. I don't know if that's going to stand there. Honestly, my favorite team out of the NFC right now is the Green Bay Packers. I think they're playing really good. I like their offense, the running game, everything like that. So I think they're better than Seattle, even though Seattle has the 2nd seed. So we'll see how that ends up falling. But I kind of think all the right teams are in the playoffs for this one. There's not many that I think are going to jump in there at the end. I know it is possible for one conference to have all 4 teams in there, but that means San Francisco would have to jump over Tampa Bay, and they're already 2 games behind. So that's going to be a tough one to overcome, but that might be the only thing I could see there. You want to go over this first matchup? Rams versus Giants?
Rams versus Giants. So if it were to start tomorrow, Colt McCoy, the Longhorn great, would be the starter for the Giants. I'll tell you what, that Rams defense will shut that down. That Rams offense, if it's not going to go against the 49ers, then I think it's going to be a solid, it's going to be a solid win. So I take the 5 seed on this one with the Los Angeles Rams. I think they win this one. So I'm going to say 24-6. I don't think that the Giants are going to have anything special for them.
Yes, especially if a guy like Colt McCoy is playing. I mean, the Giants, their passing game is horrible. They need to throw in the backup quarterback. They don't really have any wide receivers right now. Evan Ingram is the one that leads the team in reception, so that's at the tight end position. The running backs hurt, so they really don't have any running backs right now, and it's just been a struggle since Saquon Barkley got hurt. But the defense is, middle of the pack. I know that they're top 10 in points allowed and top 10 in yards allowed, but I just don't think that's going to be a matchup for the Rams. And Sean McVay is going to just, scheme up something to score at least more points than the Giants can right now. The Rams got a better passing game. They got a better running game. They have the 2nd least amount of penalties in the league, which all that just shows you it's a disciplined team that, can do something in all phases of the game. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, probably going to dominate that secondary. And with creative play calls and stuff, the Rams' 3-headed monster at running back is going to do something on the ground. So without a doubt, Rams taking this one.
Yeah, with that 3-headed monster, I think it'll be a Malcolm Brown type of game. I think they're going to establish run early with him and then just stretch you out with a, outside run game with either Cam Akers or, Darrell Henderson. I think I like their running backs for sure. Let's move on to the next game, though. So I like this matchup a lot. So 2 great quarterbacks. You got the Green Bay Packers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last time they faced each other, was the Buccaneers embarrassed Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to play at Green Bay. I was gonna say the cold weather might get to him, but Tom's used to the cold weather.
I think
Man,
that was
that
a
just
I think that was a fluke game for the Packers. I don't think that's going to happen again. I would take the Packers in this game. It seems like they're playing great right now. I know they had the one dud, but they're kind of trending upwards. And the Bucks, when I watch them, it seems like they're trending downwards. So if this game was going to happen tomorrow, I would take the Packers.
yeah, me too. I mean the defense. I mean I know it was against the Bears, but the defense looks so good.
Zadarius Smith,
Uh,
9 sacks, 10 tackles for a loss. I mean, he's playing pretty good. I know the other Smith isn't, but he's holding it down there. And then in the secondary, they got Darnell Savage, Jair Alexander, who I think could hold down the secondary and play those receivers pretty well. So, yeah, that'd be a good matchup. This and the next game would be my favorite 2 games to watch if this was to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, let's move right into it. I mean, I totally agree with you with everything you say. So let's move right into it. So this is going to be a revenge game for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be you're going to play at Seattle. So I mean, the 12th man's not there, so it's not going to be loud. Oh man, Arizona, they look a little bit flustered at that point. I had them going to playoffs, so that's fine. They are where they're at. So, um, you know what? I'm gonna say that Seattle takes this because I think that. Oh man, I might backtrack on that because looking back, Seattle, the other night was just looking so crappy.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't. I mean, yeah, they beat the Eagles, but I mean, what was that last second, pretty much, and they beat the Eagles. I mean, it's man.
I think it would have been a bigger blowout than it was if it wasn't for that last Hail Mary touchdown. But yeah, to me, I would take Seattle on this one just because it's so hard to go against Russell Wilson. He's got 2 damn good wide receivers in Lockett, DK Metcalf, and I just don't know exactly who would match up with those 2 guys. Patrick Peterson, we know he isn't the guy that he used to be. So,
But he did shut him down the first matchup. First matchup, he shut him down.
When the pressure's on and Russell Wilson's doing his thing, I kind of think they're just getting back into their groove right now too, because the running backs are getting healthy and that things just looked a little bit better for Seattle just this past week. Now, their defense is the reason why I don't think that they're going to win a Super Bowl or make it very deep into the playoffs. It's just they give it the most passing yards in the league and by far by a couple hundred yards. And I know they just got back Shaquille Griffin, who missed the last 4 games, but it's tough when it's a passing league and guys are just getting the ball down the field on you consistently. So they're going to need more blitzing from Jamal Adams. They're going to need more sacks from Carlos Dunlap, who are both of those guys are pretty good additions for them this year. But, wedge those guys between that secondary, KJ Wright, Bobby Wagner, I just have so much more faith in Seattle than I do with the Cardinals, especially the Cardinals defense.
Yeah, I like what you said, especially them having Chris Carson back. They just look like a different running game, which I think they can establish against Arizona.
Yep.
They both added pass rushers before the trade line with Arizona with Marcus Golden and Seattle with Carlos Dunlap. I picked him up in fantasy, hoping he'd get me a couple sacks, but he only got me half a sack this past game. You know what? I think it's going to come down to the nitty gritty. I think this is going to be like I don't think either defenses are that going to wow me. So I think it's going to be like a 28-27 victory for either person, for either team. I can't choose a team right now. You know what? I'm going to choose Seattle because of Russ. When it comes down to quarterbacks, I'm going to choose Russ. So when I'm looking back at it, I'm trying to compare them to the defense. The defenses, I feel like are push. I don't think either team is really better than the other. Um,
It's a tough
it's going
matchup.
down. It is going down in every phase too, whether it's the defensive line, linebacking core, and the defensive back. If it goes to the defensive backs, I'm going to go with Arizona's defensive backs, but the Seattle's linebacking crew. When it comes to the D line, man, I think that's a push.
If it's that close to you, one stat that really might change the game: Arizona is third in the league in most penalties. We know Seattle doesn't really have that many penalties, and that's one thing where it just might come down to penalties.
Yeah, I mean, and props to Seattle too, because I heard a stat the other day. I think it's from Louis Riddick that they're the only team that hasn't been affected by the COVID situation. And
Oh
props
wow.
to Pete Carroll, man, for taking
Mm-hmm.
care of his team like that. That's amazing. I don't know what they're doing, whether like staying in a hotel or staying in like multiple houses together and not going anywhere. But that's good. I mean, because you hear about like the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
There are people going out to fundraisers and whatnot, super spread and whatnot. Vegas, they've been hit so many times with fines because they're going out not wearing masks. The Saints just got hit with a fine and lost a 7th-round draft pick because they were celebrating in the locker room with no masks on. Seattle, they were in a tight ship, and you got to respect it. You got to respect Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I didn't know that about no COVID stuff. Good for them.
Yeah, 100% good for them. All right, going up to that number 1 seed, I think it's the same situation as we talked about with the Steelers. I don't think they're going to hang on to that number 1 spot.
Yep.
New Orleans, I mean, they couldn't get past the injury-prone, 49er team. They barely got past them.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Robert Saleh for running a tight defensive scheme against them. But, I mean, when I'm looking at everybody else, I mean, I think that Green Bay should take that number 1 spot, no doubt. Seattle, I know they have an easy schedule coming up in the next few games, so Seattle can easily go against them, and take that spot. Yeah. So I don't think New Orleans is deserving of that number 1 seed.
No, same here. I think Packers should take this. I hope they do. Aaron Rodgers is one of my favorites for MVP right now, but the Saints they're banged up. I hate how they're handling this quarterback situation. I'm not a fan of Taysom Hill at quarterback. I know they have weapons, so even when I see guys like Kamara, Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Thomas, Cook, when they can't get receptions because they're trying to do cute stuff at the quarterback position, it kind of frustrates me. And they just need Drew Brees back, and he's dealing with that rib injury, so I don't know how long it's going to take him to get back. But offensively, they're struggling right now. Defensively, they're doing great, and that's probably the reason why they're number 1 in the NFC right now. They're number 1 versus the run, and they're top 5 versus the pass. So leaders on that defense, Cam Jordan, he's holding down the defensive linemen, and I've even been impressed with guys like Trey Hendrick, just getting sacks and staying on the quarterback's tail. And then in the secondary, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and, of course, Marshawn Lattimore are holding down that back end. Then right in the middle of the defense is Demario David just holding down all the linebackers. So their defense is solid. They're the one that's kind of keeping the points low and letting the offense stay in the game. But if they could pull it all together, they could still be a favorite. But right now with the injuries, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I don't even think they're the best team in their conference. I know they swept Tampa Bay, but I'm going to pull Tampa Bay over them again. I don't know if they play Carolina again, but if they do, I wouldn't run it past Matt Rule, taking one from them. Like you said, I get here, we're kind of the same boat. I don't like Taysom Hill as a quarterback. Put him in at tight end, put him in as that joker position, whatever you want to call it. Winston is the better quarterback.
They play the Panthers the last week of the season.
So I hope Panthers win.
And that might be a very important that might be a very important game for them to maintain one of these top seeds in the playoffs. But yeah, that's the way it's shaking out right now. So, like we said, a couple of these teams at the top might fall down and end up in these lesser seeds, and some of these guys that are barely squeaking in right now, I just don't see how they can maintain and keep it going here. So, we'll
So
probably
who's the
go ahead.
so the odd man out for this playoff picture on the NFC side is obviously the Giants,
Mm-hmm.
and the odd man out for the AFC side, I'm saying the Browns, even though they have a higher seed than both Miami and Indianapolis. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying the Browns are out.
Okay. I think Indianapolis is going to fall off. I just don't like the way they're playing. I could see the Raiders jumping in and taking that one, or Baltimore.
100%, yeah.
Baltimore
Yeah,
if they can get back on track. So they're only one. Our Vegas is tied, or no, is one game behind Indianapolis, and so is Baltimore. So there's a big game tomorrow night. I don't think Baltimore is going to win that one, so they might slip right out of that. But
I think
I just
Lamar
don't think.
Jackson will be available, though.
You sure?
I
Because two
think he
guys got
can
cleared
be.
today, and it was only the running backs.
Yeah, but if it goes tomorrow, I think still people can still be cleared. I know they had two more positive tests today, one to player, one to staff. I don't understand it. I mean, they should have been forced to play. I mean, I know, there's multiple teams. I mean, just like the Broncos, they were forced to play without a damn quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Just they should play. Because I hear they're even pushing back the time now. So I think at a certain time you can activate a player off that list, and I think at a certain time Lamar Jackson, it's just like I don't know, a certain hour you can come available. I think he can come available, and I think that's kind of bullshit.
I don't think he's going to be available because he wasn't a
I hope
close
not.
contact guy. He tested positive.
So if you'd have to replace, all right, so I would replace the Cleveland Browns with the Ravens, and then the Indianapolis Colts with the Raiders.
I would like that way more because I think both of those teams are better and more deserve to be in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, it was a weird game for Carr. He kind of looked like the Carr of old. Two lost fumbles, and he threw a pick six. That was not like Carr how he's been playing this year. He's been playing solid this year. I've always been a supporter for him because he went to Fresno State, and he's always been a positive player. Always gives out those good interviews and whatnot. But his play hasn't really been up to his potential until this year, pretty much. And he's playing solid football. On the NFC side, I would honestly, I would do so much. I would take out New Orleans from the number 1 seed and probably replace them to with that number 6 seed. Obviously, move the Bucks up, move Green Bay to that number 1 spot. I think Arizona would take that 5 seed, and man, you have to give an NFC East team. Honestly, your favorite team is in the NFC East, and that division is garbage.
It's complete garbage. And
Yeah,
it's frustrating me. I wish someone other than the Cowboys would just take it and run with it, get like a good 3-game lead on there. I kind of hope it's Washington. Really, I was rooting for Philly last night just because I'd rather them take it and get a shitty draft pick. But yeah, no one wants to take it, and it's
I
unbelievable
got
to
something
say.
for you.
But Dallas at
I
3
got
and 8
something
still
for you.
has a chance.
All right, I heard a take today. I wish I can remember which show or podcast I was listening to, so I give them credit. But they said that if Lawrence were to declare for the draft and the Jets would keep their regime as it is now, right? So he should demand a trade.
Mm-hmm.
And he should demand a trade with Dallas, right? Dallas takes that number 1 spot, but Dallas has to give up Dak Prescott, right?
No,
So you guys get the number 1 spot, but they take your spot in the draft, next year's first, and Dak. but
No,
you guys get Trevor Lawrence and the number 1 pick. Would you take that?
no, I wouldn't take that.
You'd get rid of that. You'd be able to kind of obviously save some money with that big contract.
Mm-hmm. But I'd
For
rather
sure.
stay. I'd rather stay with the top 3 or 4 pick, trade back, stack up those. I mean, if he doesn't go to the Jets, I think he's going to go to Jacksonville. So those are 2 teams that really need quarterbacks, and they'll probably both take a quarterback. So yeah, no, I'd rather Dallas just stay there and take a guy, or trade back and get multiple top 100 picks.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's all I got for tonight.
Yeah, that's all I got. We'll come up with a topic and maybe catch up on some more playoff stuff when things mix up a little bit. But that's all I got for tonight.
Yeah, that's all I got too. Our next episode, we may or may not have a guest. We shall see. But for the most part, yeah. This is what we got. Maybe we can do our that movie draft we were talking about. We each have a team, and we'll have like 3 or 4 rounds of like players that we have to draft from movies.
Oh, the movie draft. I get it now.
We might have some fun with it. We'll see. I mean, we could each we're obviously all fans of different teams. I'm a 49er fan, you're a Cowboy fan, and our guest, I think he's a Raider fan. So we can go off of that, like see what players needs and whatnot. We can go from there.
You got it.
All right, guys. For the most part, subscribe, rate, review, and whatnot. Send us any kind of suggestions you guys have. Pass it on to a friend so they can subscribe and so on and so forth. But for the most part, you guys stay safe out there. Peace.